All right, welcome to Comfortably Uncomfortable. You've got Sandy and Alex here, and we are here to empower women to choose courage over comfort by getting comfortably uncomfortable. We get real and cut through the bullshit. Are you ready to get a little weird? Because we're going to laugh, sweat, cry, and grow together.
No topic is going to be TMI. Well, maybe for me, but not for Sandy. We complement each other in that way. Okay, so are we ready?
Well, yeah, duh, I am, but are you?
Okay, let's go.
The one with the why. All right, Alex, tell us a little story of how we got to be right here.
Hi, Sandy. I will tell you that little story. So I'm going to start from about 3 weeks ago-ish. I decided, kind of on a whim, to pick up the phone and call you. Never called you before, actually, I don't think. Only text so far.
I know. You don't call people anymore. You
No,
just text them. Yeah.
Yep. But I felt like it was that important. And I asked you not to blow off this crazy idea, just to sit and think about it for a second, but to start this podcast with me. It was an idea that kind of popped in my head. I wasn't sure about it, but the one thing I did know is that the last thing I wanted to do was another project by myself. And to be honest, I knew I didn't have the guts to talk about all these things that I wanted to talk about, but I knew someone who did. And and she's the reason why I would want to do this in the first place. So I am thrilled that we are here together and we get to start this episode recording today.
Same girl.
So,
I mean, you came to me as a client. Like, you were not in the fitness industry. You were a mom of 3. And I remember you being like, Sandy, I got this pooch. What am I doing? You know? And I just, I like how I approach everybody. I always am like, well, why do you care? And so I just love the fact that like you came to me, you had a question, yet that's not how we met, right? Like you took my fitness classes, right? Like you were,
for years. So I was in and out of your classes for years, and I, had 3 kids in 3 years. So to be frank, my body was ravaged, right? And I knew that I needed more. It finally figured out that I could not do this on my own. That even though I knew enough about, or I thought enough about fitness, it wasn't working for me. So I'm in your class fighting to try to find someone who's going to be the right fit. And you said the magic word. You told everyone in a class of like 50 plus people to do a Kegel while
men and women, right?
Yes. And I also, because I was like, yes, this woman said it finally in a class. Someone said this word. But I vividly remember the way you described everyone doing Kegel too. And it was to imagine you're sucking a milkshake up.
Really?
And I have to say, I have used that visualization now with clients, but I always warn them that I'm uncomfortable saying it and that it's that it might be uncomfortable for them to hear it, but it's a powerful visualization, I will tell you.
Oh, that's great. I don't even like the shit that comes out of my mouth when I'm teaching is kind of hysterical. Because Kegels are great. And as you've learned becoming a pelvic floor specialist yourself or postpartum specialist, Kegels aren't always the answer, right? So it's more complicated than that. But I love I love that me just saying something that people hate to hear.
Yep.
Yeah, like that's how we connected. I love it.
That's how we connected. I found my girl. So we trained together, and you helped me find that physical strength, physical confidence. I knew it was in there somewhere, but you were able to help peel back the layers and focus me in and help me get there. I mean, pretty quickly, like a few tips and just practicing. I mean, now I always use the term, it's simple, but it's not easy, right? You've got to do it over and over again. But these things that we're teaching, they're not difficult concepts, right? You just have to know that it's out there and that this exists. So, I mean, that changed my life and I wanted more. I could not sit with this knowledge that how much better I felt. The other women needed to hear this. They needed this gift too. So I got the personal training certification and then the in-depth postpartum certification that you helped me find. And now I just want to shout it from the rooftops. My
Shout it.
why, yes, this is my rooftop. This is my soapbox, whatever. I am here trying to, spread the message that this is out there for women, that they can feel whole again, feel you again. I mean, you know, eh, after being a mother, you lose so much. I mean, I know you feel that too. And you just don't even feel like it's your body anymore. So reclaiming you, I mean, so the women are my why, for better, for worse, my kids are also my why. I mean, God, so grateful for them and tearing me up, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, my husband, who's supporting me, jumping 2 feet into this wild ride. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to keep going on this journey with the listeners and have my sidekick Sandy who pushes me right here by
Woo!
my side.
I love it. I love it. I mean, and honestly, it's like the biggest compliment as a coach to see a client, drink my Kool-Aid, which isn't always flavorful. But at least like, trust yourself and trust the process and trust that, you know, it's not the same journey for everybody. And whatever comes out of it is unknown. And that's uncomfortable in itself, right? Not knowing what's going to happen.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, you definitely gave me that call and I was like, oh wow, you wait, what? I've my why for this podcast is that if you know me, obviously my 50 closest friends in my fitness classes, and they usually keep coming back because it's me being ridiculous and awkward and weird and tell people to sip milkshakes through their, pelvic floor. But I think my why is that I get uncomfortable. I'm safe in my comfort zone of people who know me because I don't want to be misinterpreted or taken the wrong way, or I'm too blunt, or I say things that just make people awkward and uncomfortable. um Yet like I think that's where we grow, right? That's where we grow
Mhm.
as moms, as women, as individuals, as just human beings on this earth. And so I was like, okay, Alex, let's see what happens. And so it just made me think of like, yeah, I have lots of things to say for, whether people are gonna like it or not, we'll find out. I hope you do. But it's there's just so much bullshit out there. There's just so much, especially for women. There's just so many things that I have had clients come to me and ask me before class, after class, individually, group setting, and like they're shocked when I'm like, that's false, and like I said, I'm a full-time physical therapy student. I come from a background of medical professionals. You should see my dad and I argue. He was a surgeon. He's retired now, and like literally this will be a later story, but my birth story of him being like, it's time for you to get a C-section, like it's time for emergency, and I'm like, chill dude, you
Oh.
delivered babies in the 70s, it's 2015, like chill. And so what I hope to bring to this is to cut the bullshit, to read and share the evidence, and to just help us dig deeper in so many facets.
Mhm.
Physically, obviously, that's how we got together. Of like, yes, you wanted to re-change your body or gain it back, whatever you want to call it. But yet also, like, I mean, if you remember, I asked you, like, why? Like, why do you want to change this? And we
Mhm.
have to accept certain things about ourselves and own them, because if
Yeah.
not, they're just going to eat us away. And so I loved always learning, like, why are you here? Why
Mhm.
do you want this? And so that's where we had to start this podcast, was why. So like my why is I want to continue to cut through the bullshit, hopefully reach more people, not just here in Chicago and the people I work with, online, but reach people that need to hear it, that don't
Yeah.
have a support system, or like me, like growing up, like, are you kidding me? I came from a very Catholic Hispanic family where you do not talk about things, like
Mhm.
sex, Kegels, pooping, depression, you know, all these things that I had to kind of figure out and
Yeah.
find a voice. And
Yeah.
so that's my why. And, like, I just hope that women and men, like, yes, it's for women, but I hope you do listen to this with your significant others, with your girlfriend, guy friends. That's the goal, is to create a safe space for you to have the conversation. Start it with us and then keep
Mhm.
keep the conversation going. Keep getting more people comfortably
Mhm.
uncomfortable, because that's just how we're going to do better just as people. So
Yeah.
I'm going to get
I
uncomfortable and
love it.
start sharing my opinions more out loud, and we'll
I
see what
wanted
happens.
I wanted to be noted that I was the first one to make you uncomfortable here on this
Yes.
podcast specifically. You've made me uncomfortable many other times before this podcast, though.
Oh, for sure. Because I was like, I don't know. I give me a mic. Yeah, I'll have lots of things to
Yeah.
say, but it's hard for me. It's hard for me to be like, I'm not going to please everyone.
No, no.
I'm a people pleaser. I want to please people.
Mhm.
So I want to make them
Oh,
happy.
I know a little bit about that too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so like this, we're talking about our why. And like, not only were we wanting to share our personal stories about why we're doing this podcast, but in general, like in anything that you do, motivation's overrated, right? We have these beautiful
Yep.
Instagram, motivational Monday. Here's my quote. And I trust me, I love them. They're great, but that doesn't elicit action, change, deep, long-term growth. This is why
Mhm.
it's January, it's New Year's resolutions. And then what's
Yep.
80%? I mean, the data shows like 80% of people will stop their quote unquote goal by like February. And I am a
Yeah.
true believer it's because they don't have the why, like the true,
Yeah.
gritty, uncomfortable why,
Well, it's
you
easy to
know?
get so bogged down the day to day. You get through your lists, you know, you want to keep it moving and you lose that big vision. Or, it could be the deep reason for the day or the week or, you know, building a business, like we're talking about. But so there are levels of why too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. Like when you say that, like levels of why and like, progressing forward, I think of Stella. She's my 5-year-old. And
Mhm.
just cracks me up of like, when you become a parent, you start observing and watching. And if you're not, like, do it. Like, just let your kids teach you shit because it's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, she would say, mommy, because she's, learning gymnastics to be like me or learning in school or whatever. She's like, practice makes perfect. And I tell her, because
Yeah.
I'm me, of like, girl, practice makes progress. And she's like,
Nope. Yep.
uh-uh,
You're wrong, mom.
right? No, practice makes perfect. And it was fascinating to just take that moment and
Oh,
be like, where did she hear that from? Where is she getting conditioned?
everyone.
Yeah. Conditioned to like hear things. And like, that's what I just keep thinking of. Like, how much bullshit do we keep letting ourselves listen
Yeah.
to without digging deep and knowing where our why is? And so it's fascinating to just kind of keep pushing on and saying, like, your why is going to help you, is going to help you get that intention, is going to help you get long term and take you further than any other motivational Monday, any other quote unquote like bullshit Instagram challenge that you have, which is funny because we're gonna give a challenge,
Yeah.
coming up, like
But do
whatever.
ours. Totally
Like,
do ours.
yeah, I mean, I own it. I own it. Like this little weekly challenge isn't gonna change, but hopefully what it
Yeah.
does is it sparks the conversation within yourself and with the people around you.
Yeah.
So
I just love that. And I'm really gonna see if I can use that with my kids too. Practice makes progress. I, I've heard the term recovering perfectionist and hello. Hi.
hey.
Uh, trying to learn a lot about that recently. It's not an easy thing to overcome, and perfect is a word used real often out of my mouth. So I'm gonna try to.
So why do you do that, huh, Alex?
Oh,
Like, why do you try and be quote unquote perfect? Like, do you think
this
you're perfect? Do you think
this
that's something you can
podcast
strive for?
this podcast would be hours long if I started bitching on all the conversations I've had about perfection in my life these days. But we'll leave that for another day.
Yeah, I mean, it's something to own it. Like, I'm proud of you right now of just saying, perfectionist recovery of saying,
Hmm.
yeah, I used to think that I would need to be quote unquote perfect. That was what we had to reach to get was perfection,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's a hard pill to swallow to be like,
Yeah.
no, perfection is not attainable. Like
No.
it's just not.
No, it's not. And you have to give yourself that. You have to give yourself that grace, that ability to not be perfect. So, I mean, definitely a journey that I'm on that I'm hoping this podcast is going to help me with. Because I thought I had let go of perfectionism. I thought that had gone out the window with my kids. Like, oh no, I'm like I just go with the flow now because they're all, tearing up my house. And I don't care so much about perfect anymore. But turns out it's like real deep seated. So
Yeah, I mean,
peeling back the layers on that.
I remember with you, and we'll talk about this later on in other episodes, but you were talking about how like you wanted the perfect number in a sense, like you had a perfect number of goal weight that you had to get there, and then you were like, "Shit, I got there, but now what?" And that's when you came to see me, and you're like, "Hey, so I hit my goal, but I don't have that perfect
Right.
what I thought was supposed to be, right?"
I'm not happy. It was as
Yeah.
simple as that.
So
So
that's a little teaser what else we're going to talk about, but
yeah.
again, we're focusing right here, right now on the why. So
Yep.
your challenge, I know I already said I hated these, but here they are. No, but the whole idea is to spark conversation within yourself with people close to you. But your challenge is, hashtag CUWHY. So comfortably uncomfortable, why? And I want you to hashtag it. I want you to send us a picture, tag us if you want. But really, it's for you. It's for you to just take a moment and pick something out of your day, of your life, and just really own why you're there, why you're doing
Mm-hmm.
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. We're going to share our whys this week on our social media. So Sandy's on Instagram, Sweat and Shine On. And I'm on Instagram at aj.afterbabyfit. And I hope that you'll follow along with us and share your hashtag CUY.
And if it's uncomfortable and if it makes you kind of shift around, then you're doing the right
Oh,
shit. Keep
yeah.
going. All
And then
right.
just put it on your stories. It'll only be there for 24 hours and then you can let go of it. That's what I
Look
do
at
when I'm
her.
super uncomfortable about
I love it. You're already like,
something. It'll
this
only be
is
there
so
for
good.
24 hours. I don't have to sit with it forever in my feed.
I love it. It's so good. All right. Well, we'll catch you next time, y'all.
All right. See you soon.
Thank you for showing up today. Getting awkward is always more fun with friends. Give us a review, tag us, and share us so we can continue to grow together.
Use hashtag CUpod, letter C, letter U, or tag us. You can find Sandy on Instagram at Sweat and Shine On, and Alex at aj.afterbabyfit on Instagram and afterbabyfit on Facebook and YouTube. We'll see you next time.